Justin Dorazio with Sportsradio 94 WIP. My guest today is the CEO, President, and General Manager of All Elite Wrestling and the Chief Football Strategy Officer for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mr. Tony Khan. Tony, I know this time of year is incredibly busy with NFL free agency, preparing for the draft, all that in between Dynamite, Collision, and booking pay-per-views. How exactly do you find time for all of that?
Well, it's a great question. I really love what I do, so I spend most of my time working, and it's fun work. Thinking about wrestling, talking about wrestling, working on wrestling shows, working on football, watching a lot of football, taking a lot of notes and compiling statistics about football. These are all things I really enjoy. So spending 16, 17, 18, 19 hours a day doing those things, that's a lot of fun. And it's a great way to spend your days. So I really enjoy it, and I love the work. So AEW wrestling is a big part of my life, and there's a lot of great wrestling fans here in this area. In your listener base, we happen to have some of the greatest wrestling markets in the world right around your market, and I think it's really, really cool that pro wrestling is the only sport that goes 52 weeks a year. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different working in the NFL and the Premier League. It's a lot of hard work, but there's a schedule, there's a season, and there's an off season. And it's very different without an off season in pro wrestling because we just go and go and go. And I think that's great for the fans because you can count on pro wrestling to be there 52 weeks a year. And I think that's part of the appeal, and it makes it challenging sometimes as a work product, but it's a lot easier if you really love wrestling, which I do. And I think that's a theme in AEW. It's a lot of people that love pro wrestling working on wrestling together.
And you recently celebrated 5 years of AEW and renewed your media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, giving you guys a home on TBS and TNT for the foreseeable future, and then also adding simulcast to Max. What has adding a new platform in Max been like in terms of adding new fans, like discovering the product, the AEW product?
Well, it's a great question. We've got a lot of new fans that have joined the Revolution, and we just had a great pay-per-view AEW Revolution, and the build to Revolution really has been the first era of AEW that was the simulcast era. We've had these great shows every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. on TBS. We still do that. We've been doing it for many years. That's Wednesday Night Dynamite, 8 p.m. Wednesday nights, coming up tomorrow night. And then we have Saturday Night Collision, which is doing fantastic on TNT, and that is also now streaming on Max. And really, these shows week to week have been on such a great run. We've been having great episodes of Dynamite and Collision recently, and our fans are very engaged. And we just had a tremendous audience join us for AEW Revolution. And we do these great pay-per-view shows, and we're coming to Philadelphia just weeks from now for our next big pay-per-view, and it's our first pay-per-view ever in Philadelphia. The fans around Philadelphia have been calling for AEW to come for a pay-per-view for many years, and that's why we're going to do it. It's a great, great market with great fans, and I know we're going to have a great audience there for AEW Dynasty. It's going to be a great show, April 6th. It's available on Amazon Prime on pay-per-view, but you can come see it in person. There's nothing like seeing AEW pay-per-views live. The company is on fire with great shows right now, and we would love for you to join us for AEW Dynasty Sunday, April 6th. And long before then, tomorrow night, you can join us for Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS. Or stream it on Max, which is really exciting. And like I said, we're just really excited to come to Philadelphia for the first time for a pay-per-view.
Awesome. And another thing I really like about AEW on Max now is the backlog of all the pay-per-views and early episodes of Dynamite, because like someone like me who I wasn't really introduced to AEW until 2023, the first match I saw was MJF versus Bryan Danielson, the 60-minute Iron Man match, and I've been hooked ever since. So to be able to get the opportunity to go back and watch early matches like Jericho versus Kenny Omega and Cody versus Dustin Rhodes and stuff like that for the first time has been really amazing. When can fans expect more of that backlog content added?
Well, we're going to consistently keep uploading it.
Okay.
And it will be more and more pay-per-views. I think as we approach Double or Nothing, you'll see more of those events loaded in. And throughout the calendar year, we're going to keep adding more and more. That's really the goal, is to add more episodes of TV, more great pay-per-views, and have the library, eventually the complete library. Right now, there's so much great wrestling available on Max as part of the AEW package, and we're still uploading classic events. You know, it feels like we're a new company, but we've produced so much television. We've done hundreds and hundreds of hours, hundreds and hundreds of episodes of AEW TV. So we're loading them up in waves, and soon it's all going to be up there to watch. And that's really exciting to hear, man, that you joined us in AEW 2023 for Revolution is when you joined the Revolution. And that Bryan Danielson versus MJF Iron Man match is one of my all-time favorite wrestling matches. I think it's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. MJF versus Bryan for the World Championship, Revolution 2 years ago. And that is a fantastic way to be introduced to AEW as a fan. That's a great story. And I'm really excited that you've gotten to go back and check out a lot of the old matches from before that and classic pay-per-views, and there's even more coming. So I'm excited for you to see all those too, and then hopefully you'll be joining us for Dynasty on April 6th also.
Oh, I'll definitely be at Dynasty. I was with you guys for Full Gear in Newark. Well, that was an amazing show. You guys always put on great pay-per-views.
Thank you. That was a really great pay-per-view, I thought. I really appreciate you coming to that. And I think we've been on a great streak of pay-per-views for over a year now. And very, very, very cool that you were able to come last year to Full Gear, and very cool you'll be at Dynasty. Like I said, if you can't join us at Dynasty Live, you can order it on Amazon Prime, and that's still several weeks away. We're just hours away from Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS and Max. It's a great lineup. Speaking of that World Championship, it's on the line on Dynamite in a street fight. Two of wrestling's greatest world champions ever. The former world champion, Adam Copeland, the rated R superstar, trying to win the AEW world title for the first time. He's a former two-time TNT champion in AEW. He's never won that world title. We're very excited for that. Adam Copeland challenging AEW's most decorated star ever, the world champion, Jon Moxley, the only man ever to hold the AEW world title, the WWE world title, and the IWGP world title. He's the most decorated champion ever, and he's AEW's champion. He's the leader of the Death Riders. He was once the most popular man in AEW, and today he's leading a different kind of revolution against a lot of the fan favorites in AEW, and this will be a great, great street fight. I can't wait for that world title match, and there's so much great action to look forward to coming up just hours from now on Wednesday Night Dynamite. So I hope you'll be able to watch the show coming up very soon. I know you're working a lot here in the studio, but hopefully we'll be able to get you to switch on Dynamite as well.
And of course, the winner of that match between Jon Moxley and Adam Copeland will go on at Dynasty to face Swerve Strickland, who's going after his second AEW World title reign. Tell me a little bit about Swerve Strickland's relationship with AEW. I know Swerve recently confirmed that he extended his contract through 2029, and I've always thought it was really interesting how Swerve talked about how he's always been willing to do anything for this company.
Swerve Strickland's coming to AEW and taken the world of wrestling by storm. He's been an AEW World Champion. He's been a top star in AEW, and at AEW Dynasty in Philadelphia, he'll have a chance to win the title back for a second time. And Swerve Strickland won the title last year at Dynasty, so it would be fitting if he could capture the belt back from Mox at Dynasty. And the fans are looking forward to this Mox versus Cope match because it's going to be a great, great fight. And like you said, we'll find out who's going to face Swerve for the world title at AEW Dynasty in Philadelphia. And either match would be fantastic. We've heard Swerve say it would be an honor to face Adam Copeland. They came face-to-face on Dynamite last week. We saw that from after Revolution. And that was quite an interesting segment to see Cope and Swerve face-to-face talking about the world title. And then we saw Jon Moxley, the champion, come after Swerve on Collision this past Saturday, which was very exciting and interesting. And, of course, Swerve attacked Mox at the end of Revolution, and Mox got his payback and curb stomped Swerve on his busted eardrum. And that was something to keep an eye on. And a lot of people coming after Jon Moxley right now, and with Adam Copeland challenging for the world title and Swerve Strickland waiting in the wings for that world title shot. It's going to be a very interesting scene coming up just hours from now on Wednesday Night Dynamite AEW.
And, of course, to get that world championship opportunity, Swerve defeated Ricochet at AEW Revolution in March. What has Ricochet done so far in AEW? He debuted at All In London, and he's been putting on banger after banger after banger. I think we've seen so much growth from Ricochet in AEW that we haven't seen in other wrestling companies.
Yeah, Ricochet's an outstanding wrestler, and I'm a big fan of his. The fans, though, have seen his true colors. I think he's a great athlete, but he's a challenging personality, and that is coming across now on television. You're seeing the real Ricochet. This is not a nice guy. He's a very dark personality, and that has really emerged. He's a very talented wrestler. Everyone knew that about Ricochet for years, and that's why he was so popular for a long time. He's a very accomplished champion in promotions all over the world, and now he's coming to AEW with a quest for gold, and Ricochet chasing that international title, and it'll be very interesting to see Ricochet tomorrow night in a four-way match where the winner will wrestle Kenny Omega at Dynasty. We've got, of course, Ricochet, this really despised rule breaker now in AEW, who defeated a legend, Katsuyori Shibata, at Collision this past Saturday to advance to tomorrow night's AEW International Title Eliminator four-way. And in addition to Ricochet, we've got some great competitors in this match, including Mark Davis, who got a win over fan favorite Mark Briscoe with some help from the Don Callis family and the Murder Machines. And I have to say, Mark Davis, the biggest man in this match, the hardest hitting possibly too, and it's an international match, and having one of the top wrestlers from Australia in the match makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, the wild card that joined us last week, Speedball Mike Bailey. Speedball Bailey, a really, really popular star and a top free agent. He's another guy who's held championships all over the world and just arrived in AEW looking for his first title here. So that's something very exciting. And then we've also got the former international champion, the former two-time international champion, trying to become the three-time international champion. That is Orange Cassidy, one of the most popular stars ever in AEW. He was close to getting the title back very recently. He had a great, great main event on AEW Dynamite. I think one of the best Dynamite main events in a long time. Orange Cassidy versus Takeshita for the international title. Takeshita came away with the title, and then, of course, Kenny Omega took the title from him at Revolution. Orange Cassidy was able to get the win over one of the top stars in Mexico, Hechicero, the mad scientist of pro wrestling, top Lucha Libre star. And that was a great win for Orange Cassidy to put him into this eliminator, and Orange Cassidy with a great chance to win the championship back at Dynasty if he can win this eliminator match tomorrow night on TBS and streaming on Max for Wednesday Night Dynamite.
So when I think of AEW, one of the first people that comes to mind is Kenny Omega. This year we saw the long-awaited return of Kenny Omega, who I believe was out for over a year, dealing with some rather serious health issues. Now having made his full recovery, he is the new AEW International Champion. Tell me about what Kenny's return to AEW means to the locker room, to booking, to everything to AEW, and what went into the decision to have his first match back be at a joint pay-per-view like Wrestle Dynasty where a bunch of promotions are working together rather than a solo AEW pay-per-view?
Well, Kenny Omega is one of the greatest stars in the history of AEW, and he's been with us from the very beginning. He was in the first main event of the very first AEW show. He's one of the most legendary champions in AEW. He's the international champion, and he's held so many great championships in AEW. Now he's, for the first time, the international champion. That belt has meant so much. It's been defended all over the world, and nobody has a better legacy of international wrestling than Kenny Omega himself. He's been a top star all over the planet. Kenny Omega was a star in Japan for many years, and we collaborate and partner with New Japan Pro Wrestling and a number of international promotions. And this event, Wrestle Dynasty at the Tokyo Dome, was a collaboration, a lot like what we do with Forbidden Door, which typically has been held in North America. And, of course, with Forbidden Door, also looking to take that event international as well. But in partnering with New Japan and with Kenny's history, I thought it would make a lot of sense for Kenny to return for the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Dynasty. It was a big, big thing. And for Kenny's aura and to rise anticipation for Kenny's return to AEW and to see Kenny looking so great, I think it was very helpful and positive. And now Kenny's been presented so strongly in AEW, and the anticipation was so high for his return. Kenny actually came back to AEW before he went to the Dome, and he made a return at AEW World's End, and it was great to see him and reintroduce him to the fans because he had been away for just over a year. And to have one of the greatest stars ever in AEW, and in my opinion, one of the best stars ever in wrestling, Kenny Omega, out of the company for over a year, it was really hard. And we're just so happy to have him back. And not only is he back, but he's wrestling at such a high level. He's as great as he's ever been. And he's really worked so hard to get it back. That's what's cool, is you can tell each match he's really putting it together. And we're seeing Kenny as good as he's ever been right now. And the fact that he was able to beat Takeshita, it's amazing, because before Kenny's injuries, Takeshita really had Kenny's number. Takeshita just went on this amazing run. He's one of the fantastic young wrestlers. And he had beaten Kenny Omega multiple times. And then Kenny went away, got healed up, and is back at full strength. And to have Kenny Omega back in AEW, it means so much. And we're so excited that he's going to defend the international title at Dynasty.
And one more question about Revolution, which was an absolutely stacked card. To me, the standout match was Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May, the Hollywood ending match. Probably the bloodiest, most violent match I've ever seen two women have in my life, and some seriously, really impressive long-term storytelling. When you think about how long we were watching Toni and Mariah's friendship and then rivalry, what are your thoughts on the Hollywood ending match, and what are your thoughts on some criticism that fans have stated about wanting this match to have main evented the pay-per-view, given how long we were following these two and their story, and this being the third and final match in their rivalry?
Well, I thought it was a great, great match and really a classic, the Hollywood ending. We've been so long looking forward to this match and this moment. Toni Storm, of course, a great, great champion in AEW. Timeless Toni Storm won the championship and took on a protege, Mariah May, who came to AEW pretending to be something she was not. And Mariah May, a great, great wrestler, and she came to AEW pretending that really she was first and foremost a fan of Timeless Toni Storm. I think that's maybe a bit of truth, but really I think she was doing it to get in Toni Storm's good graces, become her protege, and then eventually she betrayed Toni once she had secured a shot at Toni's title, and she really got in Toni's head. She attacked her, and really Tony had embraced her. Tony's not a very trusting person, but she really had come to accept and trust Mariah. And so that's why the betrayal hit her and all the fans so hard. And then they wrestled for the world title at All In, London, Wembley Stadium, in front of a massive crowd in Mariah May's hometown, where Mariah won the championship. And then in the main event of AEW Grand Slam Brisbane, Toni Storm in her hometown won the championship back. It was a great, great moment on a great show, and that was a great, great main event. And absolutely, anytime Toni Storm and Mariah May are in the ring, I think they're capable of having a great, great main event. And that's how I felt about AEW Revolution. This pay-per-view was filled with great main event matches, and absolutely I thought any of the final 4 matches could have main evented that great pay-per-view show, including the Hollywood ending was one of the great, great main event matches on the show. And that stretch of matches to end was just absolutely fantastic. And I really, really loved the pay-per-view, and in particular, I thought the Hollywood ending was fantastic, and it was great to come to where this this rivalry was inspired by, because so many elements of the story are inspired by All About Eve, and so much of the character of Timeless Toni Storm is drawn from classic Hollywood films, Sunset Boulevard, right down to her faithful butler, Luther. So it was very fitting to have the Hollywood ending right there in Los Angeles at the Crypto.com Arena. It was just a fantastic show, and I thought the match was absolutely outstanding. It was really, really top to bottom a great show, and absolutely you could have ended, I thought, on any one of the final 4 matches, but really they were all equally important. And I did think that as the final match of Grand Slam Australia, that was an absolutely fantastic match on a really successful event. So very happy with all of it.
Have you had a chance to see Timeless Toni Storm in Queen of the Ring yet?
I have really enjoyed her performance in Timeless Toni Storm. What a great actress, and one of Hollywood's great actresses in a great film with a lot of great actresses and great performances, and really a great look at wrestling history. And they've been a great sponsor for us as well. So we're very happy about that. And I'm just glad Timeless Toni Storm is back focused on wrestling, because she's a great wrestler and a great champion for AEW.
And then, of course, one other AEW star from Queen of the Ring, Kamille. Are you able to comment at all on Camille's status in AEW? We haven't seen her since, I believe, before Full Gear, when Mercedes Moné fired her from being her bodyguard.
Well, she got fired and then she was attacked. And Kamille, we haven't seen her since she was attacked in AEW. So still possibly there may be a chance for revenge at some point here, but we know we have not seen Kamille since her mystery attacker, so that is something to keep an eye on for sure.
Okay, and other than of course Kenny Omega and his whoever wins the Eliminator match tonight on Dynamite or tomorrow night on Dynamite, and Swerve Strickland versus either Jon Moxley or Adam Copeland, what else can we expect at AEW Dynasty in Philadelphia?
Well, there are a number of great matches to look forward to. I think coming out of Dynamite, we'll have a much better sense, and definitely a lot of things developing on the card. And coming out of this Wednesday show, I think we'll have a much better sense, but certainly we're weeks away, and we know that we'll have a great world title fight and a great international title fight to look forward to. And as for some more of the great championships and rivalries in AEW, I think we'll have a much better sense of what's to come on Dynasty coming out of tomorrow night's Wednesday Night Dynamite show.
Well, certainly fans can tune in to AEW Dynamite tomorrow night on Wednesday and every other Wednesday on TBS and simulcast on Max. They can get tickets right now to AEW Dynasty on for April 6th at the Liacouras Center on AEWTix.com. Tony, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you at Dynasty.
Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you at Dynasty. Thank you so much for having me on, and really enjoyed talking AEW with you, and hopefully see you at Dynasty in person and AEW. I'm excited you in with Revolution 2023, and now you've been with us for 2 years, and I really appreciate you having me on to talk about AEW today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see what's next.